I was so excited when I saw such a large crowd waving and roaring that, it kind of gave me goosebumps and I actually got a spring in my step. But before I start, I would actually like to, you know, uh, submit or a kind of confess that I was not very comfortable coming here all the way from Delhi because I was not convinced that, HUMUN would set up. They told me that there would be a big event being organized. A lot of school and college kids would be there, and it will be a very interesting session. And I had my doubts. The moment I walked into this convention center, all those doubts were set aside, and I was so happy that I could take the time and come over and join you guys. First and foremost, as I mentioned, we as an organization are delighted to be a part of the HUMUN initiative. This whole program is phenomenal now that I have seen it. And there is no reason why Coca-Cola should not continue being part of such a fantastic program. So before I actually dwell into it, most of you would be wondering, why should I be talking to you? Okay? And which kind of makes me share with you my qualifications. So I have been with the Coca-Cola system for almost 17 years now. And as mentioned by our colleague, that I have worked for a couple of more organizations earlier. And I wanted to kind of share some personal learnings, which I will do at the end. But I'm trying to set the context of where I'm going to lead you to. I have had multiple roles and in different aspects of the business. And one of the key tasks that I have been given is to integrate all of that and kind of link it to the subject, which is Act to Impact in the area of environment and sustainability. It's about how we conduct ourselves. Are we open? I mean, you might be stopped by a security guard and he might want to tell you something. He may want you to behave in a certain manner. You will find a lot of people just wanting to rush, shoo, 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 don't stop me. It is to that level where people would stop and say, what is it that you are telling me? Do you want me to do something which is important from your overall security perspective? It can be as mundane, as minuscule an activity as that, to something that your teacher is trying to tell you, that you need to study in a certain way. Of course, you have your personal choice, but are you open to that thought process? Are you open to that new perspective? It is with your teachers, your parents, your colleagues, and you will realize that as you grow, one of the key success factors in your career, whether you choose to be a businessman, an entrepreneur, or a professional, or scientist, one of the most important ingredients of your success will be how open you are. Are you hearing what I'm saying, or are you kind of, so there will be a lot of people in this group who would be hearing me, but there would be thoughts that would be going in their mind, which would be, in somewhere else. And the idea is that when you are open, you kind of mirror what the other person talks. If he says something, you kind of absorb it completely and look at it with a very, very open frame. So the objective that I'm going to put out there, which I have put out there, is about using academic framework, which is where we are all, because all of you are learners at different stages of your education, and there is a subject of which kind of the program has set out, which is around sustainability and environment, and how we connect that into, act to impact kind of a behavior. So, very plainly put, the objective, the way I understood it, was connecting the dots to compel action. So whatever we're going to talk over the next 30 odd minutes, how is it that you kind of absorb it and it helps you to act? So I'm just going to ask for two inputs from the crowd, okay? Do you see any other large challenge for the civilization, the human population on the earth today, apart from these 6, because these have been kind of filtered through and these governments and policymakers believe are the big challenges that the human civilization is facing? So first and foremost, aging population. Some of you would have read in the newspapers a couple of days back that till very recently, India never worried about it. You know, we always felt that we are a young country. The average age is 27, 28 years, the weighted average age. But for the first time, the government of India has realized that by 2025, we will have a huge population to the tune of almost 400 million citizens. Your parents, your uncles, your aunties, who would tend to be on the what we say the sunset age, where they have seen their peak productivity and they would be sunsetting into what we call old age. The other big challenge that we see is the shifting of the economic centers. So Hyderabad 50 years back would have been completely different. A Bangalore would have had a population of only 10, 12 lakh people. Today, Bangalore is touching, and is bursting on the brims with maybe almost 80, 90 lakh people. It is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. This is true for a lot of other urban centers, whether it is a Kanpur, whether it is a Siliguri, or whether it is a Pune or a Nasik. The third big challenge that we are seeing today for the society is ensuring that there is equitable treatment when it comes to basic necessities, human rights, social protection, and this is becoming an increasingly a very passionate subject. Growing class. Most of us who are sitting here would be part of the growing class. What it means is that when I grew up, I would survive with 2 pairs of uniform, and maybe 2 pairs of dresses for my home and my play, and maybe a special dress for festivals or attending weddings or special occasions. All that has changed. Okay, there is a consuming population which is emerging. People want to have different dresses. People want to have different shoes. They want to have different cars. They want to have different furnitures. They want to change the tiles. They want to change the bathroom wardrobe. That is also kind of creating pressures within the global economies. Then there is the connected world. I saw a lot of kids who walked in, they were struggling. Oh, Wi-Fi is available there. No, Wi-Fi is better available here. And I'm wondering, is the earth going to stop if, these guys don't get Wi-Fi? But no, that's how they think. They want to be connected all the time. Okay, and the subject which is where we are going to dwell, which is sustainability, is something which we will talk in subsequent slides, but again, a very, very critical subject. And let me kind of pause here and ask you a question. How many of you, all of you study physics, science, some of you would have been, Some, I guess, would be diploma and training for technical studies. While all this is happening, we spoke about well-being, we spoke about equitable distribution, we spoke about shifting economic centers. Are we mindful of how and what it does to the planet? For example, we are sitting in this air-conditioned convention hall, okay? Back of envelope calculation will tell you that this convention center will consume air conditioning, lighting, audio, video. There are a lot of energy consumptions happening. There might be a cooler, there will be a fridge somewhere. My guess is that this would be consuming something like 200 kilowatt, okay? You understand how much is a 200 kilowatt? Let me give you an example. The LED bulb in your study room, okay, would be a 10 watt LED bulb. And 1000 watt add up to 1 kW, okay? And this convention center is consuming 200 kW. A mall. All of us love to go to malls. In the mall, you have air conditioners, you have lifts, you have escalators, there's lighting, there is cooling, there is heating, all that stuff happening. A typical mid-size mall would consume 500 kW. Effectively, it means 500,000 500 kW would mean 500,000 watt. There are people in this country, okay, and we have to be conscious of that. There are people in this country who pay 10 rupees daily to go to the village. So there are clusters of villages where a daily wage earner who might be working as a farmhand, to get an electricity connection into his house, which is a 2 watt LED bulb, pays 10 rupees to the local businessman who has got an inverter. Can you see the math? You have a mall which consumes 5 lakh watt, and you have a village house consuming 2 watt. If you do the reverse of the math, you have 2.5 lakh households. There are children who study with that 2 watt LED lighting. They charge their phones with that 2 watt LED lighting, run their radios with that 2 watt LED lighting. Sustainability is all about that. How much are you consuming? How many of us are guilty to the fact that we run our air conditioners at 21 degrees, 20 degrees? That air conditioning is consuming power. Where is that power coming from? Somewhere, some part of the country, coal is being burned. Coal is being converted to steam. Steam is being put into a turbine. The turbine runs the generator. The generator generates electricity. It goes on the transmission line. From the transmission line, it comes to your house. How much coal is burning because you feel that I need to be cooled? That is sustainability. So sustainability is not a, it's a lot of people use sustainability very loosely. When I walk into a washroom, do I take two tissue papers? One single tissue paper is designed to wipe my hand completely dry. Try it out. Next time you wash your hands, you take only one tissue paper and use it completely till it becomes a small bunch. Why am I asking you to do that? That tissue paper is made out of paper, made out of pulp, which comes from trees. Absolutely right. Comes from trees. So if somebody is misusing the use of tissue paper, he is somewhere putting a load on the environment. More trees will be cut. I'm not saying we should reduce consumption. That tissue paper could have gone, and maybe a kid who does not have access to paper, one tissue paper would be probably equal to half a A4 size paper. So this is sustainability, okay? And with this context, I'm going to look at the rest of the slides. So sustainability became a serious subject only in the last 20 odd years. Earlier it was a pretty simple, businesses would exploit natural resources. Nobody really cared. Oh, we want more electricity, burn coal. Oh, we want more cars. Okay, let's mine, okay. How many, is there anybody from Goa here? Oh, I see a couple of hands. Goa used to be, as an economy, as a society, it used to thrive on two big industries. The first industry, obviously, tourism. A lot of people's livelihoods would depend on tourism. And the second big industry was mining. Okay, they used to mine iron ore, manganese. These were two metals that they were mining a lot. And it reached a stage where suddenly the government realized that if we continue to mine the way we are mining the state of Goa, Goa will disappear as a tourist spot. So they took a hard call and they said, stop all mining activities in Goa. Why? Because sustainability is becoming bloody serious. I mean, it is a subject which is determining how governments, how societies behave. Okay, so that was the first slide that you see on top. It was probably how all of us behaved or our parents behaved 20, 25 years back. Oh, there is resources, there is petrol, there is metal. We just go and mine it, convert it, and consume. Okay. Then, as consumption started going up, people realized that this petrol may not last forever. So, any guesses how long will petrol last in India? Yes, please. 2030. Okay. Next. The entire 21st century. Okay, maybe. So, see, one is to realize that the planet has surprises for us. Something gets over, something else will emerge. So, the reality is that while all this is happening, resources are limited. Resources are limited, okay? And that's the reason we tried to bring in technology. We made more efficient cars. We made more efficient air conditioners. We made our packaging more efficient. We made our dressing more efficient, okay? So a time came where we started bringing in technology and processes which kind of minimized the load. And of course, all of this is to ensure economic activity, and hence businesses have to make money so that they can invest back and do more business and more business. Then came a time when the situation started becoming more drastic, and societies decided to go into renewable stuff. So you will suddenly realize that when Mr. Modi stands up and he says that we need to focus more on solar, our dependency on thermal, nuclear, hydel has to reduce. You know why does he say that? He knows the country in and out. And he has lived that life of that kid who would study probably with a oil lamp or with a small bulb. And that empathy comes from there. He has lived that life. And that is the reason he's saying, unless we do not become more efficient, we do not focus on renewable sources, India with its 1.3, 1.4 billion population is headed towards some serious challenges. And of course, when you combine all of that, it becomes a symbiotic relationship. So you do reduce, you renew, you recycle. And we will talk more of that in context of packaging. This is a slide I put out there to give you an idea of scale. So Coca-Cola as a company is the world's largest beverage manufacturer. And so you tend to drink more than what you eat. You probably eat 400, 500 grams of food, but you drink 2 liters of water or a commercial beverage. And that makes us, being the biggest beverage company, a very huge operation when it comes to scale, because you are consuming liquid far more than what you are consuming solids. And that scale is huge. So every day, the Coca-Cola system in the globe serves 3.2 billion servings of our beverages. And that's huge. I mean, imagine half of the world is consuming a beverage every alternate day. While this might look impressive, it puts a spotlight on the business. And if there is any challenge to do with water, if there is any challenge to do with transportation, if there is any challenge to do with obesity, saying that, you guys are not making the right products, you're creating a health problem. There are all those kind of issues, you will get blamed because you become the poster child. Okay? So, we have to, as a system, stay ahead of what is going to hit us probably 2 years, 3 years in advance. And because we were putting out a lot of packages out there, and of course, we were making a lot of changes to our packaging because consumer wanted convenience, consumer wanted lightweight, consumer wanted multiple, ability to consume in a graded manner over a period of time. That probably was not being facilitated by our old traditional container, which was the glass container. So we started innovating, businesses started innovating, and this you will see in every single product that you consume. Packaging is innovating and constantly trying to shape itself to consumer demand. So my next question is, some of you may understand the concept of carbon footprinting, which means that what is the energy, very loosely put, what is the energy that goes into any particular activity that is called carbon footprinting. So, of whatever you have heard about the Coca-Cola system, which activity in our business consumes the maximum carbon footprint? Can somebody take a guess on that? Yes, please. Pardon me? Louder. Burning. I didn't get can somebody help her with the mic? Oh, burning of plastic waste. Any other, one more guess. The aeration that you put in the drink. Okay. The answer is both activities consume, there is a carbon footprint, but our carbon footprint is not there. Our biggest carbon footprint is in the energy that is consumed by our coolers. The Coca-Cola system, all the portfolio that you see there is served chilled. It is not served. So there are some parts of the portfolio which are also consumed at ambient temperature, and there are some also which are hot beverages like coffee and tea. But a large portion of our portfolio is served chilled, which means that across the world we have coolers running 24/7. Our coolers are consuming energy 24/7. Now comes the question is, what happens suddenly if a government decides that I need power to feed into homes so that kids can study, they can, moms can get their refrigerators running in the kitchen, you can charge your phone or you can do some other activity, watch television, which requires energy. So suddenly you realize is what happens if there is a change in policy and the government says, you know what, you can't run your coolers. So businesses have to start being mindful of that. The second big footprint that we have is, we may be the Coca-Cola company, but we are also the world's biggest transportation company. In India alone, we have 19,000 trucks which are running on the road, and the second biggest company, maybe a Gati or a Blue Dart, would not even have 7,000-8,000 trucks on the road. So that is our next big footprint, and there are other activities, and of course packaging is a very big footprint that we have. So we have to be mindful as a business to start designing and shaping our processes accordingly. And what we did was, you heard our CEO James Quincy speaking. We suddenly were coming under a lot of pressure starting the year 2014. We were being questioned on the amount of packaging that we were putting out there, and we were being asked direct questions as to what are you doing to ensure that you will take care of what you're putting out there as packaging waste. And we made a very bold decision that to make a bold decision through a program called World Without Waste, which effectively meant that every single package that we put out there in the market, we would make attempts through the next 12 years, and by 2030, for every single plastic bottle, can, or Tetra Pak, we would build systems to bring it back into a recycling chain. And the program broadly was built into 3 silos, which was design, collect, and partner with the larger ecosystem. So, as I mentioned, the program is very simple. We will focus, we will energize those activities which will help us bring back every single package that we put out there in the market. So that is in terms of goal. Of course, design, simplistically put, is can we reduce the material that goes into making a bottle? The Minute Maid bottle that you see on your tables is made out of 24 grams of preform, or what we call PET. We have over the years, it started at probably 32 grams. We have redesigned, recalibrated, redesigned. We keep what we call lightweighting the bottle so that you are consuming less and less material. That's very simple, simple logic, but there are also very complex logic of how you kind of don't depend on non-renewable sources. Plastic comes from the petroleum stream, and somebody said that by 2030 we will have challenges. Okay, we won't have enough petrol, so there won't be enough packaging, there won't be enough plastic. So we will have to shift towards what are called renewable sources. And way back, almost 10 years back, the Coca-Cola company was the first company which actually shifted and created what we call a bioplastic material called plant bottle. And today it is available in almost 42 countries. We are still exploring of launching it in India. So basically, it means that 70% of the content comes from the existing petroleum chain, and 30% comes from the farm, and the way it works currently is it comes from the sugarcane converted to molasses converted to ethanol, and from ethanol you convert it into a couple of derivatives, PTA, and then it goes into PET. It was considered as one of the best innovations in the packaging world way back in 06 or 07. And of course, because of the scale, we would extend it to across the entire portfolio. The second big thing, and this is very true for India, what we are trying to do is we're trying to educate our consumers through interventions at schools, markets, distribution partners, retailers, as to how they need to manage their waste. I wanted to end my session with a couple of personal insights, and these personal insights are to do when I was progressing through my school, college, and my professional life. And the deep personal insight, because we are running out of time, I'm just going to share one. I wish I was back in school and college, because it is only at the time when you're in school and colleges you have the liberty to understand frameworks, whether they are economic frameworks, they are science, they are arts, and you have the time, you have the energy to go back and forth. You can experiment, you can discuss, you can consult your friends, your parents, you can make a mistake, you can design something which might be faulty. But once you are out of your education and you get into real world, which is the work world or a business world, it becomes very difficult for you to revisit what were the fundamentals that you studied in school. So if your teacher insists that you need to understand why the formula has been built the way it has been built, there is a reason for that. They want you to understand how this will eventually get applied, how economic models will get applied. And today, if I were to even use 20% of what I learned in my school and college, I would have been 2 steps ahead in my career.